watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Happening now at 6, covering the entire DMV. Winter winds and bone-chilling cold on the way. That timing to prepare to stay weather aware. And March for Gaza. Thousands take to the nation's capital. Renewed calls for a ceasefire and several arrests made this afternoon. And a car crash floods a street. A fire hydrant gushing water in a Maryland neighborhood. What we know from the scene.
And I'm tracking winter weather, not just a little bit of snow, but also the cold. Yeah, how cold will it get? Wind chills and all, coming up.
And good evening. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6. I'm Ben Dennis. Thousands of protesters taking to the nation's capital today for the March for Gaza, calling for ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. It was organized by the American Muslim Task Force for Palestine. Those protesters also calling for the U.S. to stop sending aid to Israel. Many road closures as a result downtown near the National Mall on Pennsylvania Avenue. It's been 100 days since the October 7th attacks. We do know at least 2 people were arrested at that rally. There's one gentleman who's being taken away by MPD. Officials say the 2 adults assaulted a police officer along Pennsylvania Avenue. They're also being charged with disorderly conduct. Meantime, police in Fairfax County say that a 17-year-old is in custody after a sexual assault inside Annandale High School. Police say that a victim told a school resource officer that she was sexually assaulted. Police determined that the male suspect assaulted the victim near a stairwell. The suspect later admitted to that assault. He's currently being held at the Fairfax County Detention Center. Montgomery County Fire and Rescue says that a person crashed into a fire hydrant, causing water to spew onto this neighborhood road. Officials say that driver hit the hydrant at the intersection of Hewitt Avenue and Bethpage Lane in Aspen Hill. Authorities say the driver left the scene before they got there. No reported injuries. And the family of a former D.C. lifeguard is remembering her life at a vigil tonight. Live pictures right now. Jasmine Jefferson died late last month after a medical emergency led to her falling in the Roosevelt Aquatic Center pool and drowned. And vigil going on right now at the Hearst Outdoor Pool in Northwest. Our Dave Laval will join us live at 6:30 with more from that vigil. And this video in from the Gravelly Point Park, just near Reagan National Airport in Northern Virginia. You can see the wind really having their way with the planes coming into land, those rocky conditions back and forth. But over to your weather right now. Your time is 6:02 as we are tracking heavy winds in the DMV. Scott Sumner is tracking it all for us in real time. Scott, it's going to get quite cold out there.
It sure will, and that's what we're tracking here. We actually have 2 DMV weather alert days. And I'll talk about that when the 7-day forecast comes up. We also have some coastal flood advisories. This is a time of high tide. This one here in Lexington Park region in St. Mary's is till 7 p.m. And this one in Annapolis goes till 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, of course, we have the cold air and we have a winter weather advisory that will continue overnight tonight, or it will start overnight tonight and continue into tomorrow from 1 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is specifically for Garrett County. We'll have potential 1 to 2 or even a little bit more of snow out that way. We'll have some live cameras throughout the newscast. We'll show you those live cameras across the region. And we'll talk all about that and where that snow is headed here, because we may have a little snow ourselves. Hey, you know what? Today's high early in the morning was at 55 degrees. The average high should be 45, 10 degrees milder than that. We won't get close to that 55 over the next several days. The actual record high for today, 75 degrees back in 1932, and the record low of -8 back in 1912. So some very chilly air has been seen in the month of January. As a matter of fact, like I said, you won't be seeing any of those temperatures, 55-degree readings that you saw today, as opposed to what we're going for tomorrow. We're into the 40s, and places out towards the Shenandoah Valley and Cumberland Valley may even just stay in the 30s and 20s in some of the higher elevations across the region. We'll talk more about the temperatures in depth, because that's really what this forecast is all about here, mainly over the next 7 days. The temperatures kind of staying very, very chilly across the region. Ben?
Much more ahead. Thank you, Scott. Today marks 42 years since Air Florida Flight 90 crashed into the 14th Street Bridge heading into D.C. from Arlington County before it plummeted into the frozen Potomac River. D.C. Fire and EMS sharing photos from that tragic day 42 years ago. Again, that accident took the lives of 70 passengers, 4 crew members, 4 people on the bridge. Since 1982, the 14th Street Bridge has been renamed in honor of Arlen D. Williams Jr., a passenger who survived that initial crash but repeatedly gave up his spot in line to be rescued to allow others to be saved first. And Virginia's Department of Health, they're investigating potential exposures to the very contagious measles at both Dulles International Airport and Reagan National. Officials say that they have confirmed 1 case of the measles in 1 passenger that used both airports earlier this month. Passenger at Dulles main terminal between 4 and 8 p.m. on January 3rd. Same passenger also at Reagan's Terminal A between 2:30 and 6:30 on January the 4th. Officials are urging anybody who thinks they may have been exposed to isolate themselves and call your healthcare provider. And no surprise here, it's been a rainy week. Tuesday brought heavy wind and flooding to communities across the DMV. But in Alexandria, residents and businesses saw knee-deep water that night. Some had to turn around and deal with it all over again last night, though not nearly as severe. Take a look. This is near King Street by the Potomac River. Last night's flooding wasn't nearly as bad as earlier this week when we were live from Old Town. Businesses and owners we spoke with said this storm was so bad compared to recent years when their places were flooded, but neighbors did help each other to prepare.
Typically, sandbags are the best way of preparing, but I know some of our businesses next door have been very kind enough to let us use some.
For us, it's just a matter of kind of waiting it out.
And they say that all that rain is having an even bigger impact on their bottom line, adding it's tough to get customers through the door during those big storms like the ones we saw this week. Businesses in Montgomery County are experiencing similar issues, including this ceramic painting shop in Germantown. DC News Now's Michaela Newton spoke to the owners who say they're doing everything they can to get customers in the door.
Well, the owner of We Art Fun says weather does have an impact on business, and she doesn't see an influx of customers lining up to paint, but she's thankful for those that still drop by.
Definitely don't want to come out in weather like that. So took the opportunity today when it wasn't bad weather to get out of the house and try something new.
On Century Boulevard in Germantown, Maryland is We Art Fun, a local ceramic painting business. But the owner, Roxana Rojas, says on days like these when major weather events are imminent, she sees a decline in customers. Recently, she had to close early.
Well, I closed early because there were no people here. I expected people to come because this is the perfect activity for being creative while it's raining. What do you do at home when it's raining? So come to We Art Fun and sit down and spend a nice time, right? But I guess people didn't like the idea of driving while it's raining, or actually was raining too much.
She even put a sign right outside that reads, "Let it snow, let it rain, come in and paint," to encourage more people to come in. Most customers I spoke to are first-timers, some bringing their daughters for the very first time.
Regardless of the weather, it's a nice place to bring the girls.
Painting a princess. Painting a car.
And to make up for the loss in customers, Roxana says she offers a variety of services, including private parties and camps for kids, to make up for any money she's possibly lost. Reporting in Montgomery County, Maryland, Michaela Newton, DC News Now.
Our thanks to Michaela. Meantime, there was some major inconvenience for commuters in D.C. and Northern Virginia this weekend. If you haven't already noticed, closures and detours along Metro's blue, orange, and silver lines could derail your long weekend plans. Check it out. This is what that shuttle bus line looked just yesterday afternoon. Lines stretching down that block, dozens of commuters waiting to catch the bus. Here's what you need to know. Now through Monday, the courthouse and Roslyn stations will be closed. Buses will replace trains between Foggy Bottom and Arlington National Cemetery on the blue line, as well as between Foggy Bottom and Clarendon on the orange and silver lines. Over on the red line, the Silver Spring station will close on Saturday and Sunday. Buses will replace trains between the Tacoma and Forest Glen stations. Commuters we talked to were frustrated by the timing of the closures.
You know, maybe just keep it on the weekend and try to, do it during like the low, hours. Have more improvements going on during the middle of the night. Because if you're not going to run Metro 24/7, the least you could do is have the improvements go on during the night and not, cause all this chaos around rush hour.
Commuters say that they're also feeling frustrated over the limited signage pointing them where to go. And of course, that long weekend, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is approaching. There are lots of events happening in the DMV all across the weekend to celebrate. Our Corey James highlights those events.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is inviting people out to the annual MLK Day Parade. Now, the parade is Monday at 11 o'clock in the morning at the Rise Demonstration Center. It's in partnership with the Coalition for Peace. This year's theme is Bending Toward Peace, Truth, and Justice. Prince George's County is also holding an MLK Day of Service, and the event will support the Largo Landing Fellowship House. This is where neighbors were displaced by a fire in December. It starts at the center at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, it's been hosted by Councilmember Walla Blagay. Lunch and groceries will be provided to those who attend it. And in Montgomery County, MLK Day will kick off with an annual birthday tribute and celebration. This starts at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the Music Center at the Strathmore. The Montgomery County Volunteer Center will also complete some community service projects as well. Now, this includes Meals on Wheels, crafts for children in hospitals, and assembling hygiene bags. And in Arlington, there will be an event honoring MLK with a tribute. It includes a mix of music, dance, and spoken word performances. This takes place Sunday from 5 to 6:30 in the evening at Wakefield High School. The tribute is titled Stones of Hope. It showcases Dr. King's life, and it is free to attend. And Montgomery County is also honoring Dr. King with the Fill a Truck initiative at the Music Center to supply local homeless shelters with toiletry items. In the studio, Corey James, DC News Now.